Vegetable gardening has got to be one of the lowest tech hobbies you could have. All you need is some seed, some sun, some soil, and some water. Well, I've always struggled with the watering part of vegetable gardening, so I wanted to take myself out of the equation. Using my tech know-how, I created a self-watering square foot vegetable garden at home. And since then, I've always thought that the agricultural industry as a whole was ripe for disruption, and boy, was I right. I had a chance to attend a media event to tour the Cubic Farm Systems. Now, this is a local company that's looking to disrupt the agricultural industry by creating an entirely new category, local AG tech. So sit back, relax, and get your popcorn ready, folks, because we're taking a tour of the Cubic Farm Systems. Cue the intro. Now, just like Uber did with ride sharing, Cubic Farm Systems is basically trying to create an entirely new category, which they call local chain AG tech. Essentially, they want to shorten the supply chain and bring the food closer to the customer. And this has a lot of reasons, because you want to have the freshest food possible to get all the micronutrients that are in fresh food. And how they did it is quite ingenious, because they're doing it using an indoor system that uses essentially shipping containers. Now, they're not shipping containers per se. They are in the shape of a shipping container, but they are insulated so they can control the environment inside. And the way that they did it is quite ingenious. They create this room with all these shipping containers on the side with doors. Now, inside that room, they can actually do all the harvesting of the vegetables, so they don't have to move it anywhere. They can actually package it right there and then take it to the customer. And the way it works is when you open up one of these shipping containers, what you're going to see is a vertical vegetable garden using LED lights with everything on basically a conveyor belt. And it's quite ingenious, because you have these LED lights on top, and the plants themselves are also conveying across the light. So each part of the plant is getting light at some point in time. Now, to water the whole system, they did something that's quite ingenious. They used a separate entire container to manage the water for all the different types of containers there. And what they've done is actually nothing short of remarkable, because they're using the least amount of water, putting just the right amount of nutrients, everything from calcium, magnesium, nitrogen, all the different types of nutrients that plants need. They're mixing it into the water and then distributing it into each of these systems. And the way it works is they're not overwatering. They're just using just enough. And they've done a lot of experiments to figure out what the optimal nutrient content should be, and also the watering for each type of vegetable that they're growing. In this system, they were showing a variety of different types of lettuce. And I have to say, the lettuce tasted fantastic, because they gave us the option to taste it. And as somebody who grows their own lettuce, I gotta say, this was fresh and it was delicious. The beauty about this system is that it's perpetual, meaning they can actually grow food 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Now, that just for anybody that's thinking about food shortages, doesn't matter what country you live in, you can actually set this system up very close to your customers. And that's what I really love about this. Now, Cubic Farm System says that their technology is 52 times more land efficient than traditional farming. And it makes a lot of sense. Essentially, you're using less water, less space, and growing the maximum amount of food as possible. Now, what's funny is that I have been experimenting with vertical farming myself. In my kitchen, I actually built this vertical farm using LED lights. Now, the system that I bought was originally used for hydroponic systems, but I built a shelving unit around it so that I could grow from soil and then transplant these plants outside into my square foot garden. Well, this Cubic Farm Systems, everything is completely automated. So you only have to do cleanup after you harvest, and then you set up the system again, which makes it super efficient and super predictable when it comes to the output of food that you can create. So they're not really taking farmers out of the equation. They're essentially trying to re-educate farmers on how they can grow food in the 21st century. And it has a lot of benefits. Like I mentioned, it's localized, it's closer to the customer, which means the food is going to be fresher. That means you're going to get those micronutrients that you could only get with fresh food. Now, Cubic Farm Systems also purchased this other company called HydroGreen, and they're essentially using the same technology but to create animal feed. So basically sprouting wheat and barley into these little sprouts that is used for animal feeds. And so to see this technology in action, we actually visited this place called the EcoDairy. And first and foremost, I did not expect to see a robotic cow milker, but in this place, they actually had this robotic machine where the cows would go in and it would essentially get milked. And the cows actually understand how this all works. They know that if they go inside there, they'll get a little treat. So basically, you got yourself some Pavlov cows. But aside that, we actually had a tour of the facilities of how they create this HydroGreen. Now, as I mentioned, it is sprouting these wheat and barley seeds. But what is really impressive is that they do it in 6 days. From the time of you have the seed to the sprout of the feed is only 6 days. And from their research, they learned that at the 6-day mark, that little sprout has all the maximal nutrients for the cows. And, you know, seeing is believing. When we looked at these cows, what we noticed is that they were searching for this HydroGreen. It looked delicious. And basically, the system that they have is 6 different layers. And each layer, the seeds, the sprouting seeds, are in a different level of growth from day 1 to day 6. So essentially, farmers can create animal feed consistently 365 days a year. They never have to worry about a shortage of animal feed, provided that they have the seeds. In 6 days, they're going to have themselves some animal feed. Now, I had to try this animal feed, and turns out it is edible. I tasted it, and boy, it was actually pretty good. I can understand why the cows love this. And it just gives them all the optimal nutrients. Now, what's really interesting at EcoDairy is they're taking just animal feed to a whole new level, because they're actually measuring each cow, how much feed that they get, and then using that when they actually measure how much output of milk and other nutrients that the cow is producing. So the technology that is going into just farming, into animal feed, and also just traditional vegetable gardening has really exceeded in the last couple of years. And Cubic Farm System has created this modular, efficient system that can bring fresh food closer to the end user virtually anywhere in the world. Now, as somebody who has their own vegetable garden, as somebody who's created even a community garden to give free food to everybody, and also in an indoor garden that I can grow during the winter, I have to say this Cubic Farm System was really impressive. It actually validated everything that I have believed at a local level, but they took this technology and this know-how and this philosophy of using tech to solve some of our problems to an industrial commercial scale that could essentially feed the whole world, because this system can be anywhere from Africa to Canada to China and India. So for all of the farmers out there, this could be the future of farming, because it is so predictable, uses less space, less time, less energy, and also less water. I'm Andy Baryer from Handy Andy Media. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.